I stand at the threshold where time softens its edges, where the veil between worlds becomes thin as morning mist. A single candle burns in the darkness, its flame dancing with secrets only the silent understand. What if they're still listening? What if the whisper you feel against your cheek on quiet evenings isn't just memory but presence? The spaces between heartbeats hold more than we know. In that gentle pause before sleep claims you, in that sacred moment of awakening, there exists a bridge where souls still speak. The letter you never received may still be writing itself in the language of falling leaves, in the unexpected song of birds outside your window. This was hidden until now. The ancient wisdom keepers spoke of thresholds, doorways that never fully close after a soul passes through. They understood what modern minds have forgotten, that love creates pathways that transcend physical boundaries, that connection outlives the body. Have you noticed how certain memories arrive without invitation? How sometimes their voice seems to hover just beyond hearing? The universe conspires in these moments of remembrance, offering what cannot be explained through ordinary means. The longing you carry is itself a form of communication, a sacred dialogue between hearts that refuse separation. Maybe there are no words, but there are signs. The world speaks in symbols when voices can no longer form sounds. Your grief is seen. Your pain is honored. The weight you carry is not invisible to those who have crossed beyond. They witness your tears with the same tenderness they once showed in life. The silence that follows loss creates an echo chamber where questions multiply without answers. Where is their light now? Do they remember the small details that made your connection unique? Can they still feel your love reaching across the divide? These questions aren't futile. They are threads in a conversation that continues beyond conventional understanding. You are not forgotten in your sorrow. The path through grief isn't meant to be walked alone, even when human companions cannot fully comprehend your journey. There exists a different kind of companionship now, one that speaks through synchronicity, through dreams, through the sudden warmth that envelops you when memories surface. Consider the butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. It doesn't leave its former self behind as much as it transforms it into something new. The caterpillar doesn't die, it evolves. Your loved one hasn't disappeared into nothingness but has undergone a similar metamorphosis. Their essence continues, watching your own transformation with infinite patience and boundless love. The rooms of your home still hold their energy. The objects they touched still carry their frequency. Their favorite chair, that book they never finished, the coffee cup that seems eternally theirs. These aren't just remnants, but portals. When you touch what they touched, you create a circuit of connection that transcends ordinary reality. Your memories are living things with heartbeats of their own. What happens to the soul on the 9th day after transition? Edgar Cayce spoke of this threshold moment when the soul fully releases its earthly attachments, when it begins to comprehend the vastness of its new reality. This isn't a severance, but an expansion. On this 9th day, the soul begins to understand how to reach back, how to send signs that love persists despite physical absence. It learns the language of light that can still touch those bound to earth. When the body grows silent, the soul begins to whisper. You may have experienced this subtle dissociation, being physically present yet feeling somehow apart, as if watching life unfold from a distance. This isn't emptiness, but an awakening, the soul preparing for momentary flight, testing its wings while still anchored to earth. Those floating sensations, the gentle internal voices, the sudden mental silence, these are the soul remembering its true nature beyond flesh. Consider the soul as a leaf attached by a golden thread. When the winds of weariness, longing, or accumulated wisdom blow, it begins to sway, still connected, yet dancing between worlds. In these moments, truth emerges that the conscious mind cannot yet bear to hold. The neurological explanation speaks of decreased activity in brain regions tied to identity, but Edgar Cayce understood this as spirit remembering itself. You are not dying. You are remembering that you are spirit. The silver cord that Cayce described, that luminous connection between body and spirit, stretches in near-death experiences but breaks only at true transition. Research from universities worldwide has documented the consistency of these accounts: the tunnel of light, profound peace, presence of departed loved ones, life review. Science is beginning to acknowledge what mystics have always known. Consciousness continues even when the heart stops beating. If you received a letter from beyond, what might it say? Perhaps something like this: "My beloved, I want you to know that the journey was gentle. The fear I once carried dissolved in light, and what remained was only love, pure and boundless. I remember everything: the small kindnesses we shared, the words spoken in tenderness, even the arguments that seemed so important then. Nothing is lost. Not a single moment of our connection has faded. I see you sitting in that chair we chose together, holding my photograph, wondering if I'm truly gone. I'm not. I'm right beside you, touching your shoulder when you feel that inexplicable warmth. I'm in the butterfly that lands near you, in the song that plays at precisely the right moment in the dreams where we still walk together. Time moves differently here. Your minutes and hours don't bind me anymore, but your love still does. When you speak my name, I hear you. When you revisit our memories, I'm remembering with you. The tears you shed create ripples I can feel across dimensions. There was so much I wanted to say before leaving. Now I understand that love needs no words. It speaks in presence, in energy, in the quiet knowing that dwells in your heart. Look for me in the spaces between thoughts, in the silence after prayer, in the peace that occasionally surrounds you without reason. I am whole now, and I am waiting, not in sadness but in the joyful certainty that love never ends. It only transforms. Until we meet again in that transformation, know that I walk beside you still, with eternal love. They say they still walk beside you, even if you can't see them. This isn't poetic imagination but spiritual reality. The boundaries between worlds are more permeable than we've been taught to believe. Those you've loved and lost haven't disappeared. They've transformed, expanded, evolved into a different frequency of existence. Like radio waves passing through walls, their presence moves through dimensions, touching you in moments of receptivity. Have you felt that sudden lightness after months of grief? That unexpected smile at a memory that once brought only pain? These are gifts from beyond. Subtle reassurances that healing doesn't mean forgetting, but rather understanding love in its eternal form. Your body feels the absence acutely, the missing touch, voice, laughter. But your soul recognizes continuation. In dreams where conversations feel so real, in meditative states where presence envelops you, in those twilight moments between wakefulness and sleep, here, reunion already happens, brief but genuine. The veil thins, and souls commune without words. These aren't imagined encounters but genuine connections across the threshold that separates dimensions rather than ending relationship. When Cayce spoke of the soul's journey, he described not an ending but a transition, like changing rooms in the same house. The essence that animated your loved one hasn't vanished but shifted form. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. The love that bound you together exists outside physical laws, continuing its conversation through new channels when old ones close. The syndrome of the weary soul manifests as fatigue beyond physical explanation, a diminishing interest in worldly matters, a sense of life passing by while you stand apart. This isn't depression, but spiritual awakening, the soul becoming selective, gravitating towards silence, nature, prayer. Not escape but return, the spirit remembering its original vibration and longing for authentic connection. When you find yourself avoiding noise and superficiality, seeking solitude and depth, your soul is quietly packing its bags, not hurrying but preparing. Like a sunset that gradually transforms the landscape with nostalgia and beauty, this gradual detachment holds its own sacred purpose. Your spirit grows weary of illusion and hungers for truth. The scientific mind might call these experiences subjective, dismissing them as grief-induced imagination. But countless documented cases of shared death experiences, verified posthumous communications, and consistent near-death accounts suggest something more profound is occurring. The realm of consciousness extends beyond neural activity. The relationship between mind and brain may be more like a radio and its signal. The radio can break, but the broadcast continues. Have you noticed how grief changes over time? Not diminishing but transforming, from sharp daggers to soft waves, from constant presence to rhythmic visitation. This isn't forgetting, but integration. The relationship continues its evolution, finding new ways to express what physical presence once conveyed. Death doesn't end love. It challenges it to transcend limitation. The candle flame that flickers without breeze, the book that falls open to a meaningful passage, the bird that visits your window daily. Skeptics call these random events, but Cayce recognized them as intentional communications from those who have crossed the threshold but refuse to sever connection. Your departed loved ones learn quickly how to manipulate energy, how to create moments of recognition amid ordinary days. Your grief is sacred, your tears are witnessed, your journey through loss is not traveled alone. Though physical eyes may see only emptiness where once there was beloved presence, the soul's perception reaches further, sensing the continued accompaniment that physical senses cannot verify, but that the heart knows with unshakable certainty. Consider the ocean wave that returns to the sea. It doesn't cease to exist, but merges with its source, becoming part of every future wave that touches shore. So too does the soul return to its origin, carrying the unique imprint of its journey, contributing to the cosmic tide that touches all shores of existence. Nothing is lost in this return, only transformed. The mirror of dreams often reflects another reality, where you exist in different form. These nighttime journeys aren't mere fantasy, but excursions of the soul to realms where time bends and love speaks its native language. When you meet departed loved ones in vivid dreams, receive impossible knowledge, or witness scenes of reunion, your soul is temporarily visiting dimensions where their consciousness continues. Your longing creates a bridge. Your love maintains the connection. Your willingness to listen opens the channel for communication that transcends conventional understanding. The soul's language is symbolic, operating through meaningful coincidences, significant objects, powerful emotions that arrive without obvious cause. Learning to read these signs is learning the language of eternity. The journey through grief leads eventually to a place where memory brings more comfort than pain, where presence is felt rather than absence, where love continues its conversation through new channels. This isn't forgetting, but evolving, allowing the relationship to transform into something that bridges dimensions rather than ending at the grave. Edgar Cayce spoke often of the soul's ability to travel during sleep, to visit realms beyond physical perception. These aren't fantasies, but genuine excursions, consciousness extending beyond bodily limitations to touch other frequencies of existence. In deep meditation, in dreams, in those moments of profound stillness, your soul may be communing with those who have crossed over. These encounters, though brief, strengthen the eternal bonds that death cannot sever. When someone you love transitions, they don't stop loving you. They don't forget the connections that shaped their earthly journey. Rather, they gain a broader perspective, seeing the tapestry of existence from a vantage point beyond time's linear constraints. They understand now how love weaves through all dimensions, creating patterns of meaning that survive physical separation. Remember that light travels even after its source has moved beyond view. So too does love continue its journey, touching your life in ways both subtle and profound long after physical presence has transitioned. The stars we see in night skies may have transformed or even expired, yet their light still reaches us. Your beloved's love reaches you still, across whatever distance now exists. Have you felt that peculiar sensation of being watched when alone? That awareness of presence that defies logical explanation? These moments aren't imagination, but recognition. Your senses briefly attuning to frequencies beyond ordinary perception. The veil thins, and for an instant, you perceive what is always true. Separation is an illusion created by limited perception. Connection persists beyond what eyes can see or hands can touch. In the tapestry of existence, no thread is ever truly lost. The pattern continues, evolving into new beauty that includes rather than erases what came before. Your connection remains an essential part of that cosmic weaving, Different now but unbroken, transformed but not diminished. The soul's journey continues its eternal unfolding, and love remains the constant thread that binds all experience into meaning. Ancient traditions worldwide speak of the 9th day after transition as particularly significant, a time when the soul fully comprehends its new reality and begins the sacred work of comforting those left behind. This isn't superstition, but recognition of the soul's evolution beyond physical constraints. On this 9th day, your loved one begins to understand how to reach back across dimensions, how to send signs of continued presence, how to whisper comfort to your grieving heart. What would change if you lived as if they could see you now? What healing might occur if you spoke the words left unsaid, trusting they can hear? What peace might find you if you accepted that love creates pathways that death cannot destroy? These aren't merely comforting thoughts, but invitations to a deeper understanding of connection's eternal nature. The light of your shared love burns eternal in realms beyond sight, illuminating paths of reunion that transcend the boundaries of physical existence. Trust the journey. Honor the presence that continues. Listen for the messages that arrive in silence. For in the end, we are not bodies with souls, but souls briefly wearing bodies, and what is eternal cannot be lost to what is temporary. The bond endures. The love remains. The conversation continues.